This video is dedicated to Brick Silver, the Magnificent. You wanted me to react to how TV screens made watching movies worse. 2D version. Okay? From the same guy as my last two video/requests, this video dives into the quirky world of aspect ratios and how movies and shows are displayed on the average screen at home. This video is the 2D version as he originally made this in VR. Oh God. It's a fun video covering a topic I think is worth sharing around. I went with the 2D version simply because unless you're watching the original with a headset to get immersed, the 180 VR on a desktop isn't as impressive with the points he illustrates. Also, the altered jokes make me laugh more. Laughing cures a lot.
This is a Patreon request.
Hi. The video you're about to watch was originally rendered entirely in virtual reality.
Wow.
But after lots of people rightly complained about YouTube VR's controls sucking ass, and the video being completely unwatchable on certain phones or stomachs, I've decided to bust it down early to mid-2000s Pixar home release DVD style.
Okay.
Click the top right to watch this video the way it was intended.
Out of curiosity, I do want to see what this would look like. Research and development.
The video you're about to watch is rendered entirely in virtual reality.
Okay. Wait, computer VR controls zoom in or number pad plus minus, look around, click and drag. What? Is this a real?
When I'm watching 360 video on a standard
What the?
play, I want to meet God. And although a headset is indeed the best way to watch,
This is crazy!
wearing everything you
Wait,
need to see.
no, I'm mouse
This
scroll wheeling.
so, enjoy the video.
No,
And remember,
stop. I'm having a panic attack.
Thanks for watching.
You're
And
welcome.
remember, I'm watching too.
What is that?
A wise guy once said that from the moment home video became a thing, every movie had two lives. The first at the theater, and the second, much longer one, at home.
Okay.
For better or worse. For as long as there's been a difference between watching movies on the big screen and the little boy, there's been a discourse, a conflict you might say, over which is the best way to watch videos at home actually. Should this cool JPEG fit the screen or fill the screen? How big should it be? What size of the screen should be even? Is he behind you? Oh, not anymore. Should the media adapt to the medium or should the medium adapt to the media? And at what point does artistic merit become more or less valuable than accessibility? I thought this was gonna be a
Oh
pretty
my
easy
God,
video
Happy
just
Wheels.
to slap together, tidy over for the Halo video. 3 months later, I don't even know if I'm sneezing on the surface of this shit. What was supposed to be a fun little filler video about the quirky black bars on the screen is like morphed into this tangled mess of ideas and concepts, conflicting ideologies on accessibility and artistic merit, expression versus limitations, screen sizes, theaters, VR, remasters that make things worse, Zack Snyder, Pixar movies getting re-rendered, 30 years of heated debate between consumers, distributors, directors, movie rental stores, my dad, and most of their opinions are fucking stupid.
Okay, I will say this. When it comes to remastering, I'm one of those ones like, don't touch it.
The kicker is that a lot of the problems we're dealing with today are the exact same ones we were dealing with 40 years ago.
Really?
Before I was so much as a cum.
Okay. You're not lying.
Back in 1904, most people's screens were not only the size of an amoeba, but they were also very square. This was good and cool. And then there was VHS.
Wow.
Suddenly, movies meant for massive screens that engulfed viewers would have much longer second lives.
People's homes with tiny screens, fuzzy video, and crap sound.
But it felt
If you are
good.
old and gay, happy Pride Month in advance. You may remember this being a pretty huge point of disagree from the 80s onward.
from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. It's expected to be one of the all-time home
That just
video
feels
bestsellers,
good.
but when Spielberg requested it be released in the widescreen or letterbox format, Paramount protested. They said there was resistance to letterboxing from video dealers and from the general public.
The thing I really want to emphasize here is that screen sizes were, for the most part, treated as an inherent limitation. Movies were made for the theater first, and the tape, the only way many people would ever experience the thing, second. For the longest time, you didn't have a choice. You got what you got, and what you got was usually pan and scan, a busted up fan edit of the movie that actually played in theaters. Here, let me show you what I mean. Here's a shot from Bus. It's a pretty standard medium shot. Like it's a bit tight, but decent enough. It fits in both characters.
Okay.
I am lying to you.
Oh. Why?
This was a lie.
But why?
Here's what it actually looked like.
Is that kind of racist? Is that kind of racist? No, I'm reaching for sure.
Out of a movie he was in.
Let's look at both versions at the same time by splitting our own screen. Notice that in the letterbox version, you see both actors all the time. But in the cropped or panned and scanned version below, you see either Connery or Harrison Ford. One actor is always missing, and so is the dynamic of the two of them looking at each other during the whole scene.
These aren't like, really offensive examples. This was the standard. Moments like these were constantly being lost in the conversion from one format to the other. What's less obvious, though, is how much the pacing and framing are negatively affected, too.
I talked to Steven Spielberg recently about letterboxing, and he was feeling fairly frustrated. He says that panning and scanning, where they take the widescreen picture and look at first part of it and then another part of it, that turns long shots into medium shots and medium shots into close-ups, and it puts cuts where he didn't have any cuts.
And it still gets worse. Directors, cinematographers, animators, not YouTubers, cameramen, they all put lots of thought into shot composition, you know?
Oh my
It's not just
God!
what you show that makes a picture nice to look at, it's how you show it. And in the same way that cropping out a character leaves you with less information, cropping out half a scene leaves you with less balance.
This is true.
It looked bad.
Yeah.
Pan and scan is dumb and stupid. But for me, the worst
And I would know because I do a lot of that.
part of it is that it was an issue that For me, the worst part of it is that it became an issue of accessibility. It was basically impossible to experience movies properly outside the movie theater. There was a set amount of time you could see any film the way it was intended to be seen, and when that opportunity went away, it was gone for 20 plus years, the only remaining option being to watch a mangled, butchered version of it on your very cool, but also probably bad TV. Look, I know this is a bad time, but I gotta piss. Here, just watch this.
That's fine.
Hi. If you're watching this, it means I had to take a piss.
Okay.
Originally, this part of the video featured a sponsorship, but instead, today you'll be seeing a mid-roll. If you didn't just see a mid-roll, YouTube may have simply decided not to serve you one. Otherwise, you're one of two things. A YouTube Premium member, in which case thanks. Or you're an ad blocker, in which case...
Thanks for waiting. Eventually,
Gangnam Style.
as it became clear that this wasn't going to stop, some shows and movies would begin to make both widescreen and full-screen versions in-house, instead of it being handled by the paper cup in the office, manufactured in China, 1986, preserved in time by me, currently located Peace District Park, Austin, Texas, coordinates 3028 -9775. Check it out. Most common was a technique called shoot and protect, which is where you make the thing in one ratio, like with Michael Ogre here, but keep everything you need inside a safe zone so that when it's inevitably cropped, nobody misses out on anything important. This is smart, but it is also fucking suck, because it means that nobody framing these shots had the ability to take full advantage of either ratio, leading to shots like this that are full of negative space for no reason, or this, where Edward Donkey makes a joke about something that's not on the screen yet.
Yeah, and there's that bush that's shaped like Shirley Bassey.
We passed that bush
Oh, wow.
3 times already.
Now, Pixar, they had the coolest solution. They weren't content to just pan, scan, or protect.
We developed in-house a whole suite of tools and a whole system for for getting the film onto video in a way that we're all happy with. We don't feel we've made any compromises.
Wow.
After finishing the theatrical version, they went back and decided shot for shot how to completely reformat everything on screen, whether to zoom in, zoom out, pan and scan, or even just move characters around to make every shot work. It's so cool. Movies made this way were truly the perfect solution. Neither accessibility nor artistic merit were sacrificed. Everyone could be sure that no matter how they chose to watch, they weren't just getting all the information they needed, but they were getting an experience tailor-made for their setup, regardless of what it was.
We are so proud of A Bug's Life on video.
Golden movie, by the way.
You are going to see A Bug's Life the way we intended it.
Wait, I think you got something there. Let me just...
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Police! That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. Give it back.
You now have piss ear.
What?
In case you were born yesterday, happy birthday. It goes without saying nowadays that there are a lot less limitations to factor in. TVs today are shaped in the 16:9 ratio. This is a compromise. It sits between both extremes, and so you don't gotta shrink anything too much to fit it properly. Picture and sound have improved a whole lot. Being able to count the pores on Doug Walker's face is now normal, and most of us have grown used to the letterboxing and pillarboxing of anything that's not a video game. We have learned our lesson.
Or have we? Oh boy, here we go.
You may remember the recent controversy surrounding The Simpsons released on Disney+, which was vertically panned and scanned on release. This was a genuinely awful way to watch the show.
Yeah,
there were several jokes that were just straight up cut out of the frame. Fans made such a big stinky about it in the socials that Disney ended up creating a feature that allows you to actually choose which version you'd rather see. Less fortunate is Seinfeld, for a number of reasons. Another show produced entirely in 4:3, the latest release, currently on Netflix, was upscaled to 4K for some reason and pan and scanned across the board. Again, jokes were just missing.
Yeah, this looks bad.
And again, this elicited a reaction big enough online to make headlines. As far as I can tell, Netflix has yet to even acknowledge it. The old stuff on a modern display should be so simple, and yet here we are with Robin Hood, a case that gets more fucked up the more you know about it. The whole movie was animated in 4:3, right? But no, not really. They had a safe zone of 16:9 because when it played in theaters, they chopped off the top and bottom. I'm pretty sure it was like this because that's just how projectors worked back then. Movies came to the theater in 4:3 because that's just how they were shot. And the cropping happened physically by matting the top and bottom of the projector lens. But what you ended up with here were countless home video releases that were actually zoomed out compared to their theatrical cuts.
Wow.
By the way, when Robin Hood came out, this was the average TV size. The cherry on top is that even though the DVD copy is also in 4:3, it says on the back in fine print that this version is presented in its original theatrical ratio, which we have just established to be demonstrably false. I read this and thought I was an insane man. So when I saw that the HD remaster of the thing for Blu-ray and Disney Plus was released in 1.67:1,
what is that?
I asked my local psych ward if they take Visa. So like it's cropped, right? But not all the way cropped? It's zoomed in, but it's not the full 16:9 people saw in theaters. It's neither. Why would you do this? You know, you could make an argument for this or this being the right way to watch it. I'm really glad that Disney decided that the only option for people today was neither. Fuck you.
IMAX,
Probably the weirdest and most confusing part of all of this is IMAX. This is unfortunately the part where I have to talk about Justice League. I know. I'm sorry. For those underneath rocks, Justice League is a re-release of the movie Justice League, directed by Zack Snyder and released in good old 4:3. I could be wrong on this, but what I think a lot of people missed about this whole shenanigan is why Snyder chose a stupid shape for his movie. He doesn't just like boxes. In truth, the reason that this thing was made this way is because it was specifically made for IMAX theaters. Now, there were a lot of Limax theaters out there, but true IMAX is actually really interesting. Mostly due to technical shit that boils down to, it'll okay to sound good, but there is one thing they can do that no other theater can. They can actually expand their ratio from ultra-wide all the way into 1.43, which is almost 4:3. Snyder saw the size of a true IMAX screen in the theater and screamed hamana hamana awooga, then shat and came.
Wow.
Which is understandable.
What?
I would never do such a thing, but you must admit, screens do be large. Long story short, the IMAX experience left such an impression on old Zach that he decided to produce an entire movie for these screens, which is a genuinely cool idea and one that I'm not opposed to. In theory. Here's a catch. Of the nearly 6,000 movie theaters currently operating in the US, less than 30 are full-frame IMAX theaters. Snyder had effectively created a movie that less than 1% of his audience would ever see the way he actually intended. The rest of us saw Joss Whedon's Justice League. We all lost, but some of us chose to lose twice. IMAX done poorly isn't a new thing either. Transformers 5 is a nauseating movie to watch, partially because it changes ratio almost every cut, partially because I have yet to watch it sober. What you gotta understand though is that these are outliers. The standard good approach to filming for multiple ratios in the theater was actually established by one of the first movies ever to do it, The Dark Knight. Yeah,
Really?
I am a film enthusiast, and yeah, I am white. Here's how the movie opened in IMAX.
Wow.
You smell pissier.
My city.
Chris Nolan North's movies, even when they're released on Blu-ray, have a bit of a habit of occasionally inflating like this, but only to as far as a standard TV would allow. The same thing that you'd see in any IMAX theater that can't do a whole-ass floor-to-ceiling projection. This is not a perfect solution, but all expanded scenes were shot to protect, and so even a completely cropped version is still always properly framed and totally watchable. Unlike Dune, which got fucked up.
Oh,
Director
God.
Dennis says his movie was designed to be seen in IMAX. He's all about the physical size of the thing factoring into the language of the film, which, you know, makes sense considering the subject matter. But again, how many people are ever going to actually have the chance to see it that way? The only way to watch Dune right now is fully cropped, no matter if you're streaming it or own it physically, whatever. Now that the movie's out of theaters, the only way to watch this thing the way the creator truly intended is to go back in time.
Okay.
You know, it's cool. It is. It's cool that filmmakers are finding new ways to push cool shit out they ass. But is it worth it if only a privileged few are ever going to be able to see that work at its best?
True.
This is a really complicated question to answer, and everyone's going to have their own response. But for me, the most important thing is that more people have the opportunity to see movies like Dune the way their creators intended, which at the moment is impossible. Unless... This! You were wearing a potential solution!
Get out
Maybe,
my face.
hopefully, VR! That's why this whole video
Was
No.
originally in VR.
It's the only way I could properly show you the size, depth, and scale of what I've been talking about. Watching a movie has always been an experience limited by your environment. But when your environment can be anything you want, the only limits become your budget, your time, comfort level, mass adoption, distribution, pixel density, sound quality, and the fucking sky, dude! I know, it's not a practical solution.
Yeah.
But if headsets keep getting better like they have been lately, I can see them being a great way to watch stuff in the near future.
No, I did
In the
not
meantime,
fix my
It
posture.
just bothers me that I'm being told left and right that the ideal way to watch things I really like are just completely unattainable. In the past, I've ranted about how much I believe artistic intent to be paramount, like The Company. And I mostly still agree with that sentiment, but if there's one thing even more important to me than being able to watch things the way God intended, it's being able to decide for yourself which way is best for you. This ties into something Mr. Weird director Scott Derrickson said about Disney's recent choice to let people watch IMAX versions of Marvel movies at home. Interestingly, he never intended for the expanded version of his movie to be seen outside the theaters, because, as he puts it, you'll inevitably be observing the frame, whereas in theaters, you're almost inside it. At the end of the day, though, what I appreciate the most about this is where he lands at the end. I'm not bothered that Disney gives viewers the option, I just said that it wasn't my intention. If people want to watch it that way, that's up to them. For as much as I despise Disney Plus as a concept, and for as much of a nightmare as the gaming side of all of this is, at least both of these give people options, access to whichever version they want to see. I don't think that's too much to ask of most media.
Ew. Oh.
Hi, thanks for watching, and sorry for constantly reminding you that this is a worse version of the video, but also that's the entire point, so
Either way, hopefully those with broken phones or awful internet or motion sickness or whatever else can now watch comfortably. Still working on that follow-up video, hang tight.
You drew your patrons? That's a dope idea.
Bye. Have a beautiful time. Thank you.
I didn't think that it could get that deep as far as like movie production and like screen ratio and aspect ratio and all that. Wow, I feel like anything I watch going forward is just gonna be different, and I'm kind of nervous about it. Thank you so much, the Brick Silver, for this recommendation. I feel like my life changed in a way. Until next time, no matter how much it hurts, move forward. Keep that PMA. Check out blitzgrave.com. I'm gonna see y'all for some more stuff. Man, I hate when stuff kind of just changes your life. I'm like, now I can't watch this the same anymore. I was perfectly fine. And then new knowledge got sucked into my brain like a sponge. And I mean, I can't be a sponge because I'm Patrick.
Luigi, #1.